So how we can know this if it's not legalized? So you don't know what you get. People are buying illegally. Many people are trying to find some oil. So, but they don't know if there is CBD.
That's the fault of our governments, dear.
They don't know what's in it.
Letting us do the research. That's the problem. And I don't like that word overdose. I mean, when we think the word overdose, we think of a lot of these narcotics that the pharmaceutical industry produces, and when you overdose on them, you die. You don't die from cannabis. So I really don't think the word overdose applies. You just go to sleep for a few hours, you wake up unharmed.
Yeah. So when was medical use of cannabis banned and why?
1923 in Canada, and 1937 they put the Tax Act in the States. It was banned over greed, plain and simple. The big money who runs this planet and who actually controls our governments, they looked at cannabis as a threat because it was a threat to the energy providers, the cotton industry, the pharmaceutical industry, on and on and on. I mean, there's many things that can be done with this plant, and they regarded it as a threat. So they're the reason why this was outlawed and villainized and renamed marijuana. That's another word I hate. You know, I mean, marijuana is just one of 400 slang terms used worldwide to describe the cannabis hemp plant. And I think it's just horrendous when you know the history of this plant, like I do and like these doctors do. You can't imagine anyone outlawing its use. It's the most medicinal plant on earth. You know, so we have to be insane not to be using it. So I think the public have been badly misled, and it's not just in this country. It's all over the world. The impact that big money has had through the United Nations and fraudulent organizations like that, because these people, they're not working for the greater good of mankind. They're working for the mega rich who really control things.
Yeah, I remember slides from the presentation of Dr. Robert Melamed. He showed us how the cancer, brain cancer, I don't know, skin cancer, what was shown, how before the treatment with cannabis oil and after the treatment. Actually, cannabis oil was taking the cancer outside and taking out of the body. So as I understood, I'm going to research more into this, but as I understood, cannabis is doing neutralization of the toxins in the body by antioxidation, or as I understood correctly.
Well, that's the reason it works so well with autism. See, these are toxins that these children are giving, or they're given, the doctors give them. And the oils recognize, the cannabinoids recognize these as toxins, and again, they detoxify. And like I said, we've had wonderful results with autism.
So have you already visited, or are you planning to visit other countries in the region?
Well, yes, we're going on to Belgrade from here to do more lectures, and we've already done lecture back in March in Slovenia. We all got together with Dr. Malamed, and we did a lecture there. So I really see the doors opening now for the use of this, and I think the governments basically, if they're going to represent their people properly, they should just completely repeal the laws against this, let people use it, let people heal themselves. It's, like I said, that's the future of medicine.
Yeah. So some final words, Dr. Hanush?
I would like to tell you that concerning what we were talking about cannabis, that is not legal. That is very urgent, legalize medicinal cannabis, because patients, when a physician cannot help them, they buy illegally cannabis, and they don't know what they are buying. Sometimes it's strain which cannot help them, and just opposite, they feel worse. So it is important to know which strain to use, because I tell you example in Israel. In Israel system is like that, and I think that treatment with medicinal cannabis is the best around the world in Israel. Patient goes, when present medicine cannot help him, goes to physician specialist and ask if he or she knows that cannabis can help, to have permit to use cannabis for treatment. Doctor specialists send it to Ministry of Health. They issue permit, and patient is allowed to use cannabis. He goes to grower. We have 8 growers, and from each region, patient can go to the grower, and grower give him all informations how to use it, and provide him with cannabis. Then patient can every time return to this grower and can tell him if it helps or not, so they can tune to use different dosage or to use different strains, so they can find together strain which efficiently help to this patient. So I think that this is very good, and profit from that. From start, growers grow it several years free of charge.
Excellent.
It's not cheap to grow cannabis.
Okay.
They gave it free of charge, and now patient pay only to grower. He pays to grower 370 shekels.
This is how much?
What is something around $100 a month.
Oh.
It's like maybe 10% of very low pension. Yes, what is acceptable, and nobody else has anything from that. Not Ministry of Health, nobody, only growers. So it's, I think, a very good system which should be preserved, and we are working in Israel all the time to improve it. So now, because all the strains which were used from 8 growers, these were about 260 strains, what I calculated them, with different amounts of cannabinoids. And this is very important that we have so many strains, but from the other point of view, they want separated like sativa strains and indica strains. They want to call it like day use, night use, you know. So sativa, and they want that are like soft, medium, and forte. Flowering tops, buds for patients, for smoking and vaporization. Then cannabis in oil, again soft, medium,
you
forte.
have suppository
and
also.
Cakes, because children cannot smoke or vaporize. So they have cakes, and these cakes they can use only small part and start with very small part and can increase it. So this will be also 3 dimensions, and then will be regular and forte oil with cannabis, high CBD. What is very important for some illnesses, because sometimes they use very huge amounts. So we are working also with growers, and growers already purified cannabidiol. So they have purified cannabidiol.
So we can take the recipe of legislation from Israel, because as I can see, you are very organized.
As I suggested, when several years I was working on that in Czech Republic, many interviews and lectures. Also Rick Simpson was over there. And we had series of lectures. So then they came to Israel. Everything organized, so they like to accept the system which is in Israel, because it's a very efficient system.
Thank you. Dr. Paul, some final words?
Yeah, what Dr. Hanush was involved in, the discovery of the receptor and the endocannabinoids that bind it, in my mind, was one of the biggest medical finds of the last century, next to insulin and DNA. Once it all unravels, we'll realize how important that receptor system is to human physiology in general.
One small question. Is it the same if we use cannabis oil, which you recommend, Simpson method, or pharmaceutical? Is it the same?
No.
No.
I am a natural medicine guy. I believe in whole plant medicine. Like Dr. Hanush, I believe that compounds work with brothers and sisters, and they have a synergy action. And putting in a single synthetic molecule into a biological system causes side effects and problems. So I believe in natural molecules with their brothers and sisters, and I believe that provides the greatest and safest efficacy. I often put up a slide with 34 different efficacies of cannabis, meaning the desired effect, the number of illnesses that it is effective for. Then I say that's why it's illegal. Because if it was legal, the pharmaceutical industry, the most profitable industry in the world, would lose a lot of its income. Antidepressants market's gone, anti-inflammatory market, analgesic market are all affected by the cannabis plant. Not only is it the most useful herbal medicine on the planet, it also has many other uses, and if fully utilized, we have an industrial revolution on our hands.
A hemp-based economy.
Yeah, everything will change if the cannabis plant is fully utilized.
Thank you.
I would like to say another sentence to Paul Hornby when he mentioned cannabinoid receptors, because I think that people are interested in why it works on so many diseases. Because cannabinoid receptors, which were discovered in 1998, later they found that these are one of the most spread receptors in human body. They are anywhere, even in your skin. So this is why it, and then later when we discovered endocannabinoids, and it was explained why it works so good. So it gave possibility to explain why it works on so many diseases. And recently from National Institutes of Health, Dr. Kunosh and Dr. Paul Pacher, both are MD. So they wrote in their publication that probably in the future it will treat almost all diseases.
Thank you. And Rick, some final words?
Well, I mean, I believe in law and order, same as most people, I hope. But there's a severe problem here because, in truth, our governments are not representing us. They're keeping us from using this natural medication. And I don't feel that any government or anyone else has the right to tell someone, you know, that's suffering that they can't use this as a medicine. So I encourage everyone, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I know governments hate to hear this, but the bottom line is if you have a friend or a loved one who's suffering and dying, for God's sakes, go out, grow some cannabis if you have to, buy some, make the medicine, help them. This is what we're supposed to do, you know, to those in need. And that's what's wrong with our world. They've made money, you know, they've made medicine about money. And like they were saying here earlier, I mean, when I did this the first few years, I gave all the medicine away for nothing. You know, that's the only way you could prove it.
Thank you. So thank you very much for being our guests, and we are looking forward to see you again in Macedonia.
Thank you.
Thank you.